Welcome to Silence This, where we will not be silenced unless you silence
Unless
this.
you just turn us off. You can just
You can turn us off.
That's an option.
Yeah, hey!
But you didn't.
Self-empowerment!
You didn't. You're
You
here.
can just turn it off. If you don't like it, just
You're
turn it off.
responsible for what you take in.
Yeah.
And we're responsible for what we make.
Or you can call us fascists, which is apparently the popular thing to do on
Drunk
YouTube.
fascists. Thank you very much. Cheers.
They edited it, but we can see. We can see where you edited
You could see
that.
what you edited. You see it said drunk fascists, and then you just switch it to just fascists.
Which is like, why? Were we not drunk enough? Should we get? I guess we need to drink
Just
more.
keep drinking, man.
We're gonna drink more.
Yeah. Well, I'm not driving anymore right
Also, like,
now. So.
if you want, you know what? I'm just gonna address this. Come back and define fascist, because it appears that you were just.
Yeah, it made no sense.
We were just all we did was
normal internet bullshit.
talk
We'll get
shit
to
about
Twitter.
communism.
We're not on going to Twitter first.
Yeah. Okay. Back
We're
to
starting on Lyft.
Driving.
Starting on
Rideshare.
Lyft. Yeah.
Rideshare. All rideshare covered. So this is important because AB5 is coming up here for amendment in California. AB5 is the employer-employee like benefits law in California, and so they're amending it to make it so that rideshare drivers basically fall under the employees.
And so this means certain rights that are things like parental leave, sick time, paid time off. I think it's minimum wage guarantee.
Minimum wage, yeah.
It's a vacation time or something like. It's basically like the normal employee stuff that like if you worked at Best Buy and you were selling people, whatever cameras or computers at Best Buy, that you get those employment benefits because that's part of what your employer has to provide you.
So it's weird though because they may start holding people to you must work 40 hours a week.
I passed that, so I'm good with that.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, they may hold like some people who who work two jobs.
They only do like I've done weeks where you only do 32, 34 hours, and you only average that. Yeah.
And so it's weird for like, what if you make 40 one week? What if you don't the next week? Like, where does that come in? And another thing is, some people purposely choose to do overtime. Nobody's asking them to.
Yeah, but they do.
And they do it all on their own.
Yeah.
And that's different than a boss saying, hey, we need somebody. Can you work overtime? That's somebody saying, I'm just going to keep working.
Well, I wonder if it'll just lead to two different categories of employment where, like, if you're a more regular full-time employee of Lyft, then you get all the benefits. But
well, they would have to have distinguish between part-time and full-time, just like any other business, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that would be the thing is that it would be like full-time and contractor. Yeah. Like, I worked at Sony was one of my early jobs, and, like, I thought it was dope because I was getting paid $20 an hour to work, But when you're a contractor like that, like, usually they get you out of there after 8 hours because they don't want to pay you.
They don't want you to hire you on either.
Well, the thing is you have all these other employment benefits that do exist, but there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't exist. But basically, they're paid the way that they have to pay you. You go immediately into, like, double time. It's normal production rates.
Yeah.
It's like it's like being on a production. If you're on a film set for 8 hours, then after 8 hours, for every hour after 8 hours, it's time and a half, I believe. So until like 3 hours after that, then it becomes like double time or triple. It keeps upping and upping. So if they keep you on set and they keep you working harder and harder and longer and longer,
but they're asking you to be there, and that to me is the difference. Is there are Uber drivers now that work well over 40 because they want to, because they have a goal they want to meet. They're like, I want to get here. I need to do this. Maybe I took a week off. Maybe I've been vacationing. I need to make it up. And so they'll work over 40 hours that week. Yeah. And it's like, and they're making more than minimum wage already probably because they know how to work it.
I usually can $20 an hour is low. $30 an hour is more normal.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. $20 an hour is low. So these people that are like, oh, I want to make minimum wage. It's like, what are you doing?
The other thing is that here's the other thing that I observed. I think some of these people, because I've been watching the Facebook forum, and I'm not going to call anybody out by name. Some of these people that are posting and griping are like, oh my God, you guys, like the reason that you're not getting rides is because you're giving bad rides. And so your rating is going down, and so you're not getting the rides.
I think that's a part of the thing.
Your demand, even when the demand spikes, is the only time you're getting the rides, because then they'll give the rides to whoever will take them.
Really, it works like that?
I think it works that way, because like
I've maintained a high rating, so I get rides.
But I remember, like, I think I've been driving for Lyft. I've over 9,000. That's like 2 years.
I know where the rides are, though.
Well, the thing is,
where to go.
Yeah, I know where to go too. I totally know where to go.
And you and I both learn.
And
that's
the thing is, like, and you know, like, time of day, and like, there's a bunch of things that play into.
And
like,
I don't talk about it. I don't tell the other drivers, because that's for me.
Yeah.
Because if everybody knew,
then there's a bunch of good little tricks. There's a bunch of places that like if you get close enough to the right place,
you'll get a ride every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Not going to tell you where, but
there's some good places.
Every time.
Because they're
certain hours, though.
Certain hours.
But
the thing is that you work different hours than me, so my tips, my hot tips,
different,
are way different than your hot tips, because like I know where to go on Sunday at 11 a.m.
Okay.
I know where to go on like Wednesday in the middle of the day at that 11:30 a.m. lull.
Yeah.
Where like everybody's at work. Okay, what's going on now? Where do you pick people up now?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Like, I know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have a similar one, like 11 p.m. at night. Where do you go? There's 2 places, and they're not that easy to understand.
Yeah. Well, I've even done some of the
on
3
weeknights,
a.m.
especially.
Those,
you're just like 11 p.m. on a weeknight. Where do you go? I know.
Do you want to? We were gonna tell some Lyft stories.
All right.
We don't have a logo. We should do it. We should have an
intro. You know
intro
what? No, I'm gonna hook up the people who actually watch this. I'm gonna say, where do you go at 11 on a weeknight? Lombard, straight down Lombard, because you can pick up from Union and from Chestnut, both sides of Lombard. You got bars late night, yuppie, upper crowd. Sometimes they're going across the bridge, like good rides late at night.
All right, I'll give away a little bit of the Wednesday. I'm not going to give away the specific details, but I'll give away an abstract, and you can fucking figure it out. Wednesday, middle of the day, hospitals. People are going to and from doctor's appointments.
Okay.
Like you wouldn't believe on Wednesdays.
Good call.
And so get near.
There's a lot of different.
There's a lot of different hospitals. There's a lot of good pickup zones in those hospitals, and if you can manage to get on some of those feeder streets, there's a good chance you're going to get a hospital pickup.
Cool. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we're hooking people up. All right. So I want to talk about what happened because of a similar thing to AB5 in New York. So Lyft is not allowed. And Lisa brought this up. She was able to figure this out. So how do you, like, the people that can't find rides and are complaining about not making a minimum wage? Those fuckers can be out in like Stockton or like way out in the middle of BFE and just turn their fucking shit on and just sit. And just sit in the middle of nowhere, raking in minimum wage until they get a ride. Like, that's a potential problem that I didn't even think of. But
I think you could also gate that on a software end. That like you do also have to be meeting a quota or striving
meeting a quota, sure,
or striving to do so. Like
at least prove that you're moving in a direction.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel
somewhere.
guilty for sitting around and reading a book,
right?
Waiting for a ride, but if I'm in the right neighborhood, I don't feel guilty. Like if I'm up near Union and Chestnut, the same,
That's how I work. Like, that's how I do it. I go towards the spot where I should get a ride. And then if I get there and I don't have a ride, I'll sit there and get on Twitter for a few minutes.
Yeah, you just park and go do something else. Yeah, read a book. Yeah. I like reading a book because then I feel. I mean, I do my fair share of Twitter and stuff, but yeah, I like reading a book makes me feel like
good idea.
I lifted some brain weights or something.
But in New York specifically, people have to like drive into the city. They can't pick up people in like the Bronx. They can't just turn it on. They have to like actually go into somewhere else, like Brooklyn or what. I don't know New York, so I'm maybe getting these names wrong.
I want to move on to telling stories.
Okay.
And I want you to tell a story so that I can open the door for the dog while you tell everybody your story, and then she can stop woofing and fussing.
Okay. So, this story happened recently. There were 4 bros from Ohio, fucking polo shirts, wanted to get in my car with visibly open cups. And I was just like, we can't have open containers in here. And so they said, oh, it's coffee. And I was like, okay, you told me it was coffee. If something comes up, just be ready to drink it quick. Be ready to get rid of it.
All right, I'll be cool with it.
Yeah, it's like, you told me it was coffee. We've played the game.
Yeah. You know the move.
Okay. I have deniability. You told me it was coffee. Let's get moving. So I was driving them a long way from
And then I got pulled over.
Yeah. No, that
You didn't get pulled over.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so.
No.
Did they spill a bunch of shit all over your back seat?
No. Very respectful. Great guys.
Already,
drinking tequila all night.
Already reasonable story.
Dude, they remind me of my people back in Texas. Like fucking golf course dudes that just drink straight tequila. Like, that's my dad.
Yeah.
He literally hangs out at the golf course place and just drinks tequila.
Yeah, they got some corporate job.
He doesn't play golf.
They got some corporate job where they and they're not. They live in some place where things don't cost that much, and they play golf and drink a bunch and do their job, and that's life.
And they were out they had a really nice cabin up in the woods. It was fucking sweet. They were having a great time. But they asked me so what's new out here? And when they said what's new, I thought, well, mushrooms were just decriminalized in Oakland. Because, that's my favorite thing about laws changing is you can bring it up. It opens up the door to that conversation. When medical marijuana was first legalized in California, all of a sudden, you could talk about medical marijuana because it was a real thing.
Yeah.
And, that, just opening that conversation enabled it in Colorado and Nevada, and then, that enabled recreational, and then that opens the door to the conversation, which enables it in other places. And it's the same thing with decriminalization.
Here's what's going through my head. What happens when Golf Bro turns into Shroom Head?
I really wanted to see that, honestly, because he was like, whoa, I've never tried shrooms before. It was like, what's that like? And I was just like,
I can imagine that guy going out on the golf course and being like, the golf course is a person. I'm gonna just rolling around.
Sounds like a great fucking time, man.
Just visiting every hole and being like, hello.
Yeah, the game ended long ago.
Well, it's like the sprinklers are on. He's just running through the sprinklers. It's 3 a.m.
That's probably how Robin Williams came up with his golf bit. Just took some shrooms out on the course. Started doing his Scottish dude impression. Here we go.
One of the best times I ever took shrooms. I've only probably taken shrooms. I'm not really that much of a psychonaut, even though I have had enough. But while skydiving...
I love that answer. I've had enough.
I haven't had them in a while for a very good reason. But some people do it a lot and keep doing it. I felt like I kind of had the experience, and every time I had it, I kind of backed away from it afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
And was like, that was enough.
Yeah.
And during one of the skydiving boogies, taking mushrooms and then going out on the tarmac because there's no flights coming in or out after certain hours.
So this was after you skydive?
After you skydive, before you skydive the next day.
Okay.
On mushrooms, running up and down the tarmac.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you take off?
Enough.
It's but you did the Bill Hicks thing. Instead of trying to jump out the window, you tried to take off from the ground like a normal person. Yeah. Like somebody who's not destined to just die.
Works fine that way. It's totally fun.
Awesome. But yeah, that was my favorite thing about that is they were actually totally interested once I told them that it was and they're like, do you have any? I was like, I'm sorry, we're not in Oakland.
Right? Yeah, they're legal there. Yeah. I can tell them to you there.
Yeah. Well, this would be a different discussion there. I mean, that wouldn't change what I had on me, but
the thing is, I feel like everybody should have a hallucinogenic experience, but they also should be had under the right setting, in the right conditions.
Oh,
around the right
they were
people.
just they had been drinking tequila all night. I was just like, oh my God, I can't imagine if I had given those dudes a bag of mushrooms to go hang out in their
one of my comedy friends who you probably know by name had just gotten back from the burn, and I wanted mushrooms for something else that was coming up, and so he gave me a bunch. He sold me like an ounce for like almost nothing, and I was like, oh dude, in.
Yeah.
And he was like,
yeah, it's like a good
he
deal.
Was like,
all right,
good deal.
go.
He just wanted to get rid of them. He's like, you gonna use them? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use them. Here you go, dude.
What up?
And so that was the thing is I went to a bar that night, but I was like I want to try. I'll just do like a little cap. We'll do a little cap and go to the bar with everybody else that we were with, and like that should be all right. And like I think we went to Elbow Room.
Okay.
With all the monitors flashing, there was like a bunch of really weird cartoony shit playing, and like that it was a bit too much, man.
Yeah,
and
the first time.
That's the thing is you don't know what you're getting into until you've experienced it, and like that was like sensory over. And I get where like you have to be in the right situation, the right setting, around the right people.
Oh, yeah.
And when my friend started fucking with me, and he thought it was funny, then
that can turn out to very not be funny.
That was the thing is I was like, well, nobody's on my team.
Yeah, that can really not be funny.
See you guys.
I have never been that person.
I went home. I was done.
I don't think that's a nice thing to do to people.
No, it's not at all. If your friend is tripping, be nice to him.
Yeah,
or her.
It's not nice.
Or Shim or Zim.
Unless you've like been hanging out and doing drugs a lot together, and that's your thing. Like, but
unless they're tripping too.
No, that's what I mean. Like, and it's like an agreed upon.
Well, the other
like,
thing is that if they're tripping
we're
too,
playing around. Like,
if they're on the same wavelength
right.
as you, then you can kind of do it back.
That's what I was. Yeah.
But if you can't do it back,
no, not fun.
Then they're just like tormenting you.
Yeah.
Then you're like, don't feel like getting poked in the ribs anymore. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nope.
This is no fun.
Bye. Gone. I went home. I literally I don't even remember how I got home. I went home. I'm down for more Lyft stories. That was one.
Yeah. Okay. So you have some audio to play.
So this is a new way that we're gonna do this.
Yay.
We're gonna spill beer first, and then we're gonna play. So the way that I've been doing this is that after I have an interesting Lyft ride, I text Jay a bit of audio of just like describing what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And why this was compelling. And so we're going to play that audio, and then we're going to talk about it.
And there's some hackery involved. If you want to record, anybody sends you some audio, and you're like, how do I save this? Just record a screenshot, screen recording, play the audio, save it, and now you have a video of the audio you can save and send anywhere.
Let's see if this works. Is it going from the beginning?
I just gave a very lovely ride to an 80-year-old black woman named Fannie Lee. She had bright white curly hair and a beautiful rainbow shawl, and I don't even remember what was on her t-shirt. Maybe it was an ohm. It was something that was good energy. She could tell she had good energy before she even got in the car. And we were just laughing and talking about life and talking about our philosophy and what we work on and how we keep our energy up. And she was a beautiful person, and the connection was immediate and easy, and that's why it's one of the reasons I love doing this.
This is a fun one.
So basically, you were turned on by an 80-year-old woman?
No, it's not. It was like a spiritual thing, man.
Okay.
The fact that she was like attractive, is like. I think it's a testament to whatever she's been doing for the last however
you were just
long.
attracted to her spiritually.
Yeah,
you felt like a really good energy, and you just wanted to be around this woman.
You're like this is an amazing person.
You know what?
This is a super amazing person, and she's like beautiful.
Was this in Oakland?
No, this is in San Francisco, and she's like beautiful on like all these levels, and she's like, I couldn't believe she was 80. She's like out and energetic. She just had all this stuff going on. And it wasn't until after that I was like acknowledging that I was like, wait, is that even a sexual attraction? Like, I don't think it is. Like, I think it's just an attraction. I think it's just an attractive
like I
person.
like this person. I want to be around this person. I like this.
It almost might be what's the difference? Where's the line? It like made me like think about that for a minute.
Did you get a Woody?
Nope.
There you go.
That's
the difference.
No. Yeah. Did I want to give her a hug though? I wanted to hug the shit out of that lady.
Oh,
God.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, there's not.
I wanted to
you
hug
can have
the shit
very
out of her.
non-sexual hugs.
I wanted to hug the fuck out of her. I wanted to give her a big. I wanted to give her a big hug like she's my grandma.
I'm gonna tell you that's one of the most positive things about working at the Fillmore for me, is when we work the fucking Wook shows, the hippie shows where a lot of people are doing E and there's some like kind of jam bandy shows, but I'm talking about these more like jazzy, like kind of party jazz shows. Like people show up and they're just in a great mood with this great energy and they just want to give hugs. And it's like some people don't like that. Like my last co-host, he hated it when people just come up and hug him.
Yeah.
But like I like that. I like that good energy. Like, oh, you're a nice person. Like, yeah, I can hug you. Like, this is cool. Like, some people are weird. Like, but like, I can tell a vibe pretty easy. Yeah. So like, when a person has that good vibe, it's just like, hey, I can get along with you. We're partying together, having a good time.
And there are some people who shall not be named, who sometimes they get a little too huggy.
No, it happens.
It happens. And so, like, I get why some people have apprehension to it, but at the same time...
Look, I've taken too much MDMA. At the same time, I understand.
I think there's also something to be said about, like...
Sometimes
if somebody has done enough, like, personal work, enough, like, you can tell that they're not only not threatening, but that they're, like, pleasant to be around.
Yeah.
And, like, and if they've done enough, like... work on themselves over enough years, then like it's instant. You can tell it very quickly, and I think people kind of react to you differently based on how you're doing. It's kind of like people are too nice to Zach Wiseman. Zach Wiseman's not too nice to people. Not doing too well a lot of the time. I don't know how he's doing right now, though. He texted me recently.
A lot of times it has to do with your general, like, your outlook, your own personal outlook on things. Like, to me, I have a generally positive outlook on things, and I think that shows. And I think it shows in the way I treat people. And I think, again, a lot of the people who criticize me and get really upset with me generally have a negative outlook. So my positive outlook doesn't... Yeah, they should look at my positivity and be influenced and encouraged by it. But when I disagree with them on something, they can only take it in a negative way. Yeah. And it's like, and I guess since I personally am not, I don't feel like I'm being negative. It's hard for me. I don't know how to respond to that properly because I'm not being negative. Maybe. So to take it that way, it makes I've considered that we might be on some kind of spectrum. Asperger's. I mean, I did get hit in the head. I mean, I did hit my head on a tree when I was 11. Really hard when I was skiing.
I've definitely hit my head a bunch of times.
I didn't realize it, but who was it? Rogan started asking Jones. He was like, did you have any head injuries? And I was like, and I didn't realize it, but Rogan started going into this thing where it's like a lot of people who think a little bit differently have kind of a early head injury early on. I was like, huh, all right. Well, I can't pretend that didn't happen.
I had a head injury in football. I had some hard hits snowboarding.
Yeah.
That did put me in the hospital for the shoulder, but when you hit, it's kind of your head's kind of right there.
I mean, I had
a helmet.
I saw,
but I've definitely taken some shots. I haven't been punched in the head too much.
So, Live PD has a competitor called Live First Responders Live on like Fox or something, one of the main channels. Anyway, they showed a video from...
How did we get on to people getting hit in the head from this beautiful 80-year-old woman?
Because... well, there was a dude in an ATV. The cop turned his lights on. The ATV like tries to speed away into the intersection. As soon as it enters the intersection, a car like going like 40, 50 miles an hour just... like had no chance to slow down, nails an ATV. Dude fucking flies across the road and they're putting him on a backboard and everything.
Where are you watching this?
On TV. It's a show called First Responders Live.
This is why I don't own a television.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. I didn't. That's one of those, nobody expected that to happen. They're like, oh, shit, this is too far. Should we be showing this? Like, the camera guy's up there, and he's going through his head. Oh, how much can I show right now? He's, waiting for the voice in the ear to say, here's what you can show. We're going to cut away.
At what point in time should you put the camera down and help?
No, there were first responders there. The police were all over the place helping.
Okay.
There was plenty of professional help.
Okay, but...
There was plenty of professional help.
But also... Seriously, having been in similar situations,
dude, you know how much that footage is worth? That's the good shit. That's what you got to make that call, man. As the camera dude, that's what you're like. This is do I turn? This is the good shit, though. Do I turn away? Oh, no, you don't. You record it and you let the guy in the booth make that call.
At least once, I chose the rifle.
Well, that's different. That's okay. That's different. You're talking about
at least once I chose the rifle.
Well, I think what you're talking about is very different.
I went running out, and I got there, and they're like, "What are you doing with your rifle?" And I was like, "Fuck you, assholes are right." And I sat there and I saw the gunfight take place, and I was like, "Fuck," and I went running back in, got the camera, came back out, and nothing happened.
Okay, That's exactly what I'm talking about. You got it. When you're the camera guy, you have to
And that was the thing is in that situation, okay, it was one of the first times there was a gunfight, and fucking the thing that made me go, oh shit, was they were shooting grenades, the 40 millimeter barrel launch grenades, and so they were. I think there's actually the Afghan ones are 30 mic.
So they were shooting.
It was an Afghan on Afghan fight. It was Afghan military, Afghan Taliban on Afghan military fight. So no Americans were involved. But the grenade explosions were what I was, it was there was brrr, 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 but the doof, 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 it was whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different noise. That's not the same noise.
Yeah, we're used to the drat.
well, if there's drat, I mean, somebody could be training or shooting or there's a whole bunch of different things can be happening. But somebody's shooting fucking multiple grenades.
That's serious shit.
I think that's a gunfight. Pretty sure that's a gunfight. How close is that gunfight? I'm gonna go with the rifle.
Yeah, might as well take the rifle.
Might as well go with the rifle. And then got out there, and there was just tracers off in the town, and it was short, and it was basically them feeling each other out, and yeah.
Well, see,
that was that.
Here's the thing.
That was it. I got one tracer on camera though. One time through a night vision goggle.
Well, I'd say you chose the professional route because you were there to carry the gun.
Yeah, that's
what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The guy with the camera on the TV, his job was to record.
I was also an idiot because that was totally even the other Marines that were standing there.
It was just why? Why'd you do that?
The other ones that were standing there, they're like, you totally could have brought the camera, man.
This isn't our fight anyway.
Yeah, this is not our fight, man. Yeah. We're sitting on the hill watching this shit. Where's your camera, man? It's God, fuck, you're right. I suck.
Yeah, you have to make a choice in the heat of the moment. That's how it goes.
You get what you get. That's filmmaking, I guess it is what it is. Do we want to go do the next audio one? And then you do your
sure. Yeah,
and then you do your dude.
Yeah.
Because the next one's a little wacky.
Yeah,
the next one gets a little fucking crazy, a lot crazy.
And yeah. By the way, I like your sending me these right after.
To a full-blown schizophrenic named Fernando, and Fernando was telling me how his cousins in Pittsburgh, the city in California here, are transmitting a signal into his head to abuse him. They have a doll. And they abuse the doll, and then that transmits those feelings to him, and he feels what the doll feels, and he smells gasoline, and he sees lights, and they play pornos for him to torment him, and he wants his cousins to stop, but everybody thinks he's crazy, because he is.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much wraps it up there at the end.
Okay, so here's the thing: is that this guy's
I want to hear more.
He's trapped by his own mind, clearly.
Okay.
Wait,
how old was this guy? Do you think?
Probably 40s.
Okay.
Early 40s.
Okay. Just trying to get an idea.
Yeah, I mean, maybe late 40s, mid 40s, somewhere in 40s.
Okay.
I would guess. I mean, maybe not quite 50, but he was clearly just having a hell of a fucking time at life, just in general. But keeping it together today. Like, we were together today. Today was functional.
Did you get any hints of drug use, or does this seem like fully natural?
I think he might be living somewhere. The thing is that he's been, showing up places and acting out.
Okay.
And so, but for reasons that made sense to him.
Yeah, if you think your cousins are sending secret messages.
Well, that was the thing is he had this whole story about showing up at his cousin's house. And the second they opened the door, he turned the signal off.
Dude, I find that kind of shit fascinating.
Yeah, where he's there where he thinks this thing's happening, and now that he can see it's not happening there, he has a reason why it happened that way, so he can continue to believe in his fantasy world, which is just tormenting him and making him do all this crazy shit. And he's trapped in this cycle that's it's your own mind. It's crazy.
That's man, I love to have I'd love to question, just try to figure out what do you believe? Where are you coming from on this? How did you come to this?
The other thing that
I don't get the chance to, because you were in a situation where you felt safe with that. When I run into people like that, it's usually on the street, and I've had trouble with where I'm just
together. He was explaining
but
things I've pretty functionally. He was, I could be pretty rational with him, and I was asking him questions.
I've started to get into conversations to where it was clearly headed in a way that I need to get out of this.
Well, I felt like I was in control of the conversation, and I could ask him questions, and that was the thing, is that by asking him questions about it, it made him feel like not only did I believe him, but I understood him.
Was curious. Yeah, we're trying to understand him.
I was
you
trying
were
to
at least
listening.
listening.
I was listening.
Yeah, that's where I want. That's so I used to.
Well, the thing is that
I would love to have somebody like that on a show like this.
Well, the direction I went with it, which I was just curious. You got 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. The direction I went with it was, is there some way to block the signal? Do you know Is there, because he was telling me that there's this technology stuff involved, so I'm if somebody's this crazy, man, maybe all you need to do is get an Altoids box,
teach him how to
spray paint it black, put a bunch of wires inside, and put it in his pocket and tell him it blocks the signal, and then he can go about his day and be a normal human being because he thinks it's blocking the signal. It really is a fabrication of the mind. We really don't.
So you can fix it with the fabrication of the mind.
Yeah. That's where my head goes.
So you're crazy, but we can fix this with more crazy.
You can do something that's just crazy enough that you can then... What do you need to do? Okay, you need to function like a normal human being and carry on with your life.
So do you think it would be exploitative to have a person like that on a show?
I don't know.
Well, that's because I was thinking, boy, it would be fun to have a conversation like that on the show, but I wouldn't want it to be exploitative.
Well, the thing is that I think you'd probably have to put some kind of cap on it, or maybe even give the ability to edit or something, or just in case you hit a bump, or you went in a direction you didn't realize.
I mean, I can't pretend Howard Stern didn't make a living off of things like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not. I would prefer to be a little bit more sensitive than Stern. That's my own personal.
For me,
feelings.
The goal is to make it better.
Yeah. No, I'm just kind of a sensitive person.
Yeah.
By nature.
And so the goal is to always hey man, I got that guy where he's going. I made his day better.
Yeah.
That much. Okay. Cool.
And also, you got some really interesting thoughts out of it. Like, whoa, what's going on with this guy?
Well, and I got to think.
Wow, this is a worldview I haven't heard before.
I got to think about the nature of my own psyche and the nature of how we construct reality, which is something I think about a lot.
It's frightening in some ways.
And the notion that your mind can take you over like that.
Yeah.
In a way that becomes an actual physical illness.
And if it's coming from inside, how do you know if it's different from it?
And that's the thing, is that it seems that basically what's going on there is that somebody's mind has a different version of reality from everybody else, and so they think something else is going on that's not there.
If you knew that you had that problem, you would have to have so much trust in other people to help you navigate what's real and what isn't.
So you'd have to have, some pretty close people that you could trust.
Yeah, that's the only way. Is you'd have to have people that you absolutely trust to tell you, hey, look, this is not happening. I can see that this is not happening.
Here's what we need to do. Follow me. Yeah. And that you could just like go along with, okay, where are we going? We're going here to do this.
You just have to be able to trust that person. I guess real faith comes in sometimes. And that was, wow. So I have one more story.
It's a fun one.
So I picked up a guy who had just moved to the city, was getting into the gay culture here, loving it, living life, loving it. You know, he moved from the Midwest or something. He's just like loving the gay culture. Great. I like to hear about it. I love any positive story. Anybody who's having a good time, love to talk to him. So, but he was telling me he said he got picked up by a Lyft driver who was also gay. And the driver told him, like, hey, if you want to, you can just jerk off in the back seat. And so he did. And at the time I thought, well, that's weird. I thought, that's not fair. Like, that's gay life. But, like, man, if a chick got in the back seat, how would I even bring that up? There's no way I could bring that up. And I thought, like,
if you want to pull your tits out and just slap them around a bit.
Just pull if you want to pull your tits out, go right ahead.
I'll tilt the rearview mirror down. We can all have fun. That's not going to go over very well. That's not going to. I think your ride's over at that point.
So
and you don't have a job.
At first I was like, wow, I was pretty jealous. I was like, wow, that's gay. Being gay sounds pretty fun. I got to be honest. And but then later I realized, oh, you know what? I think he was trying to broach the subject. Like, I think he was bringing it up like, oh, hey, if you want to tell me it's okay, I've done it before. And so now I'm thinking, next time there's a girl in my car who says, what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you in an Uber ride? I'll just say, one time this guy was in the back seat.
I told you about we were talking about this before the podcast, but I actually just remembered this story. I think I've told this on the podcast before. I'll tell it again. The guy that he got in the car and he told this long story about an Uber or Lyft driver give like a forced blowjob. He gave this graphic story about this forced blowjob that he was like making me. He wanted me to like look at him while he was like telling me.
I do not remember this.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is the first time he did it, I was like, maybe he was. And that was the thing. Is broken. What? It was in broken English.
Explain this. Forced blowjob. Who was forcing the blowjob? The driver.
In his story. Yeah.
Okay.
And the story, the way he's telling it to me, is that the driver is like making him do this.
A guy.
Yeah.
Not him.
But he was also kind of willing to do it. Was also what he was kind of hinting at. And the first time it happened, I was like, that's okay, whatever.
Weird story, right.
Weird story, all right. Ride's over. See how I ended the ride? All right, get out of my car. All right, thanks. Linger. All right, have a good one. Bye. And he did get out and like, okay, got out, left. But then like 4 months later, same dude.
Yeah.
Same story. Fucking same linger. And I fucking 1 star, full report. What the fuck is going on?
Dude, I gotta say, like, I'm kind of jealous of the low-key ability of gay dudes to just be like, just throw out a story and just like, if you're on their wavelength, you'll instantly pick up on it. You just be like, oh yeah, I'm here with you, buddy. And if you're not like us, we're just like, whoa, weird story, bro.
That happened to you?
Yeah, weird, man.
Whoa, man. All right, have a good one, dude.
That's
Get
funny.
out of my fucking car.
I was talking about like Greg Araki, like who's one of my favorite gay directors. Like he's like a new John Waters. But like I watched Doom Generation, and it's obviously like a movie with very gay undertones. It's got threesome with 2 dudes and stuff. But like the first time I watched it, I was just like, whoa, this is weird. And then like later I found out like, oh, the director's gay and he does this gay scene. Oh, okay, like that's a thing. Like
people put things from their lives into their.
But it was like just to me, I was just like, oh, like this is some weird sexual stuff that like I'm personally not into, but it's cool to have a peek into this world.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the thing. Driving, I that's part of why I don't like doing the later night stuff. Is that stuff makes me really uncomfortable.
Dude, the most uncomfortable I get is when, I'll tell you, this is real quick. There were 2 girls in the back seat and a guy in the front seat. And the guy was like trying to hit on the girls in the back seat. Like he was drunk. He was just like, and obviously they weren't into it. And he was just like, where are you going? What are you doing? And I was just like, I had drawn a line in my head of like, if he crosses this line, I'm going to step in. He didn't. And the girls were, they were fielding them off themselves. They were just like, we're lesbians. Like, but it's like at that point, like, it's like, dude, stop. They clearly said they were lesbians for a reason. But what's funny is after I dropped him off, they immediately started being like, hey, you should come hang out at this party with us.
They're like, oh, you're nice. We like hanging out with you.
Yeah, it's like, maybe you're not as lesbian as you were saying a minute ago.
I told you the story about the lesbian that I picked up from Berkeley, who we then picked up another lesbian.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, all gay. Yep, all gay in the car. Like, okay, you got it. And like, sorry, the dogs are having a fight.
This is for the video only. Yeah, you can view the dog fight on YouTube. Some of it, so some of it's behind a monitor.
Well, the culmination of this ride was that the Butch Bulldog, I think I've told this on the podcast before, the Butch Bulldog attempted to grab me and make out with me. Like, hardcore leaned over from passenger seat, like unbuckled first.
Wait. You didn't tell me it was that aggressive.
Dude, it was... That was the thing.
I didn't realize it was that aggressive.
She had me park at that Shell station at Felon Divisadero. And fucking, like, there's a couple parking spots right there that are, like, zip cars and things like that. So there's always a spot there. And so, like, I pulled in one of the spots, and I was like, there you go, safe spot to get out. Like, good idea. And, like, didn't know that was the plan. That was apparently the plan. And I was like, whoa, hey. Luckily, my jiu-jitsu training kicked in. And I, hand defended my face. And she took no for an answer, and it wasn't a big deal. But it's like I can't.
Honestly, that's a pretty cool play.
But the thing is, I can't.
Well, why would you?
I can't. Yeah.
Was it that bad?
No.
I mean, why would you? I wouldn't.
It was still like kind of like.
The only reason pretty aggressive.
The only reason to report it would just be to kind of like slap her on the wrist so that she doesn't do it to somebody else. Yeah, so it's like, hey, you can get in real trouble for this. Don't do this to somebody else.
That's what if she did it to a woman?
The same reason, same. I'm sure she probably does. She probably does. And like, it's the same sort of thing of like, hey, this person is sexually aggressive in an inappropriate way, and they happen to have a vagina. Like, they should get slapped on the wrist at some point in time. And like, our society is not very good at doing that. No. And like, that kind of segues into the thing that I keep landing on with personal responsibility is that, with rights comes responsibility as everybody fucking grows into an adult and takes on more rights, and you take on more responsibilities. And like, everybody should take on equal responsibility. That's in a society, and women currently are not held equally accountable for the same shit. And like, how do you address that as an inequality without like looking like you're this little griping man? Because there's all these men doing all this horrible shit, which gets addressed a bunch, but like there are women doing horrible shit that get off the fucking hook because they have a vagina.
Well, this brings me to a thing I saw on Twitter recently. There was a video posted of a man screaming outside of a Planned Parenthood yelling, "Please don't kill my baby! Don't do it! Don't."
I saw that one.
I don't know how real it was. It could have been staged.
I don't think
whatever.
It is.
Point being,
the men don't have reproductive rights.
Point being is I could not believe how many comments were just plain hateful and spiteful towards the man. It's one thing to say, like, you know what, it's her choice. It's one thing to make a reasonable argument. But it's a lot of the comments were just, fuck that guy.
Personal
like,
attacks.
He deserves that.
Personal
like, boo-hoo. Like,
personal
just.
Attacks, yeah.
And it was just
what
straight
a pathetic,
hateful towards the man.
Oh, yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how bad it was.
So in working on Removed from Reality, I've gone pretty deep into masculinity, and so one of the things I listen to a lot and pay attention to a lot is men's rights stuff.
Right.
And so this is something that I'm paying a lot of attention to and thinking a lot about.
Would you call yourself a men's rights activist?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't.
No.
You talk about it. I'd say you're a men's rights discusser.
Yeah. Well, I think the idea itself. I'm not so much an advocate. I think I'm maybe an advocate for masculinity, for men being masculine, for kind of leaning into your biology.
You know what? I would call myself a men's rights advocate.
Yeah, like an advocate, like that advocate,
not an
sort
activist.
of in that kind. Maybe that's in that sense of the like. But I'm more interested.
But I'm
not
rights
interested.
advocate.
Well, the other thing is that I'm more interested in the men's corner. I'm more interested in the question the film is trying to ask is what is a good man, and like how do you be that? Like what do you have to do? Like what are the qualifiers? Like what are the guideposts? Like how do I navigate my life in a way that I know that I'm gonna come out the other end and like I'm not gonna be a piece of shit. I'm not gonna be an abuser, a harasser. I'm not gonna be pathetic and fucking unsuccessful. I'm not gonna fucking, how do I get through my life to where like I'm successful? I've achieved enough as a human being in this. I got a male body. That's what I got the dice roll, and so like I want to play those cards well. How do I do it?
Well, I consider myself an equal rights advocate. That's what Why isn't that a fucking word? Equal rights advocate. You don't need to be a feminist. You don't need to be a men's rights advocate. Those two things don't need to be opposed.
Yeah, egalitarian.
You just be an equal rights advocate. That's it for everybody.
That makes sense. Yeah. Equal rights.
That's it. Even. Stop using other fucking words.
Well,
if you're using other fucking words, it's to put yourself or other people in different camps.
Categories so that
bullshit.
You can condemn other people. Yeah.
Equal rights. That's it.
And I get why, and this is something that I've seen that's a criticism of the men's rights movement that, and the folks that are involved with that they are...
Just call it equal.
Well, the thing is that women are saying that they're attacking women and that they are like trying to punish women. And I think
that's because women are trying to punish men, as evidenced through what I saw on that Planned Parenthood.
But here's the thing: is I think what's going on is that they want women to be held accountable equally. And if you're held accountable equally, that means you're punished more because men are punished more. So either that, or we're going to punish men less.
One or the other. It has to equal out.
It has to equal out.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're right. And that's why that's the only reason you would distinguish a men's rights activist from a feminist is to try to make it a power play, because it's really about equality, and that's what it should be. They should be getting together.
They should be.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
The point should be equality, and that's why the personal responsibility thing is the thing that I keep coming back to.
You can't say it's men's fault. You can't say it's women's fault.
The problem...
Each person takes responsibility.
We keep running into this in these Twitter arguments that there was some person who was saying that if a woman is abusive or acting out or doing whatever, it's because she has an abusive partner. It's because of the man in her life. And I was saying, you're giving up responsibility. If you don't have personal responsibility, you don't have rights. They come hand in hand. You're setting women back by saying that, like, oh, my actions are the result.
That's what comes with rights.
Yeah.
Is personal responsibility.
Yes.
Those two things
come hand in hand.
You can't have one without the other.
You cannot have one without the other.
And if you get rid of one, you get rid of the other.
That's right. Like, if you want to not have responsibility over your life, well, then you lose your rights to decide where you go and what you do and how
you're basically saying, I'll just be a prisoner. I'll have my 3 meals, 3 hots, and a cot.
In my socialist cog fucking existence. Like, yeah, and like, that's not America. That's not what this country's about. You go find out where you fit into the world in the best way, and then you kick ass at that, and you'll get paid. Mm-hmm. You will make money at that. You fucking will. Just be good. Just go and be good at what you do. Like, you fucking will. I swear. It will fucking work.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Just go kick ass. Just go kick ass. Like, I don't know what you do or what you want to do. There's tons of stuff to do. People will pay you to do all kinds of shit, including driving a Lyft. Like, but like, yeah, like the American dream's alive and well. Like, we're doing fucking fine.
Yeah, that's why I'm a firm centrist, man. I think we need capitalism tempered by socialism. I think both things are highly important. But in that line, but I tend towards libertarianism, which is away from authoritarianism. So I believe in individual choices and individual power and individual responsibility.
Yeah, when local, smaller government.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that, like, I'm realizing how important, that the local government is. Like, especially my experiences in the military and in these third world countries and stuff.
A lot of people underestimate that.
And, like, in some places, that's all they have. That's it.
You're right. That's the reality of the situation.
And that's a lot of America.
Yeah.
A lot of America. Like,
it comes down to your local sheriff in a lot of small places.
Yeah. Whether he's going to let you, especially, like, you go up to, like, Humboldt. Were you ever up in the Green Triangle when it was, like, an Emerald Triangle? When it was, like...
Dude, I worked at a pot club. I dealt with a lot of the people up there, but I've never been.
I spent a little time up there.
Okay.
And, like, it is very, like, who you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows everybody, and it's, like, who you know. It's very local.
Yeah.
And, like, if you're walking around with somebody else, then, like, you're probably going to be okay later because they saw you with blah, blah, blah. Like, it's very who you know. And, like, you know, those communities are alive and well all over America of like, you know, people that know their neighbors, people that know, you know, where they live, that like...
I grew up on a street with one other house.
Yeah.
On that street.
I grew up here over in the Richmond initially, and then we moved out to Ohio where it was like small town, suburban. So I experienced both growing up. And yeah, the city's a little bit more disconnected, but at the same time, I still have the friends you make when you live in a city. They kind of stick a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a weird situation with that kind of thing. I went to a private school, so I had a bunch, like, I made friends there who kept going there. But I would make good friends and then they'd just leave. They'd go to a public school, they'd go somewhere else. And then after a while, it's like I'd try to hang out, but they were hanging out with their new friends or whatever.
Yeah. And that happened to me in middle school where a bunch of my friends moved away.
Huh.
And so, like, I didn't have anybody locally to play with, so I got a dog.
Well, so since that happened, like, I kind of grew really good relationships with a core group of friends. And then when I went to public school and high school, I remained friends with my friends from private school.
I just got really into camera.
So, like, I had two groups of friends that I hung out with pretty much equally time-wise. Like,
I got into camera shit. And
really? That early?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
13, 12,
Well, what
11.
kind of camera did you have? VHS?
Well, the first one where I was really getting shit done was a GL1, Canon GL1.
What was it recording on?
HDV tape.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, or DV tape, actually. DV tape at the time, not HDV, DV tape.
Okay, you had a way earlier...
Yeah, but it was still recording...
I mean, I started recording VHS when I was that age, but it was like a big fucking...
It was a 4x3 frame.
Huh.
But it was digital, and so it was digital video, and then once you got it to the computer, you could do a bunch of stuff with it. It came with Final Cut Pro, a copy of Final
Yeah,
Cut
I never had any kind of editing software.
Well, the thing is that I'd been playing with the I'd been playing with the family camera for so long and buying more tapes, and then like I would edit in camera.
Well, see, that's the thing that nobody ever tells you, though.
Like at first I learned to edit in camera for a while. I did that for years, but the fact that I suffered through that and recorded to so many tapes and did all this stuff, when the opportunity came up to like, hey, we can give this kid a camera and editing software.
My edits in camera were so
they went
shitty
for it.
on VHS that it was barely like you couldn't do like a good camera trick because there was like a fucking break in between.
I was doing like
shitty.
lasers and lightning eyes, and I would sit there and paint it frame by frame for fucking days. And
I tried to do stop motion with Legos, but like there was too much fuzz in between things. So
I would do a lot. I did a lot
shitty.
of stop motion. I did stop motion on high 8 for a while, where it was manual start stop. But then once you get onto the DV tape, then you just need frames, and then you can cut all the other frames out, and then like. Yeah, and then but it's still, you have to kind of like pick your scenes, because like I tried to do bigger ones, and like you try to move 60 pieces every frame, something like that, and like you're like, oh, what was I doing to myself? Like, but at the same time, you get this little like, not even a full second video, and you're like, oh my god, like the amount of work that took to do that. You're like, you start to understand what it takes to do this stuff, like, and then I think that gave me a good baseline for working in visual effects, because I understood it. I definitely understood what was going on and where I fit in, and like the whole machine. It's fun. It's cool. It's tough work though, because it's a big machine.
I think when I look at production and performance, I prefer performance. I'm good at production. It's what I do. It's what I've been. But to me, I kind of like performing is a thing I really fucking enjoy. To me, I like being in front of the camera.
Once you see how much you can fuck with the image after it's been shot, you realize how much what you do on camera really didn't matter that much.
Well,
matters a little bit, not that much.
I'd say with things like stand up, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's stand up.
That's what I'm talking about. When I say performance, like that's why I like stand up, because like that's as performance as you get.
It's pure. Yeah. It's like it is what it is. You're up there, you're talking, you're doing it. That's part of why I like podcasting. Like, we're uncut. We're like
That's what I like about not editing this, because we could. But I feel like I'd rather just do long form, straight.
Because if we're gonna fuck up or stumble around or say something stupid, I'd rather just do that and put it out there, and that's us. Yeah. Like, deal with it. I'm going to. I have to. You don't. You could click away, but you're not. You're still here because you can hear my voice.
So let's talk about Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. Oh, don't sound so disappointed.
I said her name right. That's what I was deciding whether I'd side, because I decided to say her actual name and not be a jerk and not make a joke.
Let's just go right into it. The first debate that's up, that's flying around on social media, is the concentration camp debate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the problem, I'm going to just cut right to the heart of it, all right? So the problem is when you say concentration camp, it immediately brings up Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Nobody, when you say concentration camp, nobody thinks of anything else. The first thing they think of is extermination camps in Nazi Germany. They were work camps that became extermination camps. Okay? A work camp and an extermination camp are very different things from a concentration camp, which they claim we have here at the border.
Yeah, but I get people's point with the Japanese thing.
The Japanese internment camps.
Internment. And you're like, internment, concentration, you're like, same thing.
So the definition...
That's a good point.
I've seen somebody posted, they said the definition is when civilians are basically concentrated into a camp of some kind.
Against their will.
Without trial.
Yeah, without
that was the definition, was without trial. But here's the thing: is these are people that are not only suspected, are highly suspected. They have been unable to prove that they did not enter the country illegally, and therefore are awaiting trial. They're basically awaiting proceedings. That's the point of the detention camp. It is detention until proceeding.
Yeah.
And the problem is there's so many of them. That's what people don't understand. They say, look how overcrowded it is. Look how bad it is. It's like, look how many we have. Look how many people are coming. Look how many are still coming. It's crowding. It's not the camp's fault.
I get that. And that's the good argument is that, like, people don't line up to get into concentration camps. And so you don't come if you know that you're going to be detained and held and go through this process.
Yeah.
Like, that. It's in the news. They're talking about it. You might be separated from your kids while you're in detention because they don't want your kids to get raped by your neighbors.
Yeah.
And they have to guarantee
and they want to make sure that they're your kids. And that you're not some kind of narco bringing them over to sell them or something. Who knows?
Yeah, all kinds of shit. And so, like, I don't know. That's the thing, is that it's
just a very skewed view of what's really happening.
The thing to me is that, when we were talking about people constructing the reality, these people are the people that they are honing in on this victim narrative, finding the most victim narrative version they can take,
which is Nazi Germany, Holocaust,
leaning hard into that and then leveraging that to gain what they want in the situation. And, like,
every time this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Every time somebody says the Nazis are far right, I'm like, how are the Nazis far right? I get that they're far authoritarian, but they're centrist. They basically believed in a lot of socialist ideas. They believed in so much socialism that there's no way they could be far right. So because they believed in price fixing. They believed in the government being in charge of a lot of things. When the government's in charge of a lot of corporations and price fixing and ideas like that, that's socialism. That's what socialism is. Okay. Be it dictatorship or, the difference is it was just one party that was a dictator.
But I see why they say that's far right, though.
Well, but
here's the thing is that, like, if corporations took over government, then corporations could dictate the prices through government. So if government had full control over industry, if government regulated industry and through corporations and government and industry were all one thing and they were all regulating the same thing, then they could say oil is this price because the government says so. And they're making that price.
But how is that different from socialism?
That's different. Well, it's not very different from socialism. In that socialism, there's this notion that it's coming from the people, and it's being done in this benevolent way for the people.
Well, the difference is that it's
versus on the other side, it's being done for industry
from
because
socialism,
industry.
They say it's,
but hold on, but let me finish. Is being done for industry because industry is going to benefit the nation and bring prosperity to the nation, and then everybody's going to benefit from the prosperity, and that was what they were. That was the shtick, right? That was why they were kicking ass for a couple years. And, like, their industry was kicking ass and their economy was kicking ass for a couple of years. That's why the whole war thing, like, happened, right?
I don't think so. I think it was because they felt that they were being suppressed.
Well, that was the thing, is they had somebody to lean on to. They had a power structure to lean on, and they had this. And that's the other thing, is that's why I get why some people lump Jordan Peterson in with this, is they had a hierarchy of, like, look, we've got the Ubermensch. We figured out who the best humans on the world are. And so then here's everybody who's below them, and we can just stand on them appropriately and lean on them and make them work real hard. And then they crushed a bunch of people, and they were a bunch of assholes, and they killed a whole fuckload of people because they were a bunch of cunts. Right? Did I get my history right? Is that right? Tell us in the comments.
No. I mean that's right, but I guess my argument is the way that the government was run had a lot of socialism in it. I get what you're saying about considering them better than everybody else.
I guess my differentiation between socialism and that, I mean, they end in the same action. So I get you're saying they're the same thing. Yes, you're right. But also, The idea behind it is different. The idea behind it being that the government knows what's best. The government is going to like lead us in the correct direction because they are the end-all, be-all, know-all, ubermensch, blah, blah, blah. That's the right-wing idea. But then the socialist left-wing idea is the government will take care of us because it's benevolent and loving, and it wants its people to do well, and we are all in this together. And so the government will be benevolent and serve us well, and all the agents of the government will serve us well, and everybody will be good and do well. And I think neither idea works. I think the solution is somewhere in between, but at the same time, I think the major flaw in communism is that it relies on the belief that everybody is benevolent and everybody is giving and everybody is not.
See, to me, when I'm talking about this, I'm looking at the overall. I'm looking at the political compass, right? I'm not looking at right and left only. Right and left exist, but there's also authoritarian versus libertarian. Right. You know, like
you've done this bad,
and so to me, like being at all the bad things we always talk about, Mao, Hitler, like all these like repressive regimes that killed people and stuff, all authoritarian, all top of the fucking authoritarian chart. Down at the bottom, you have people like fucking Ron Paul, like Gary Johnson, like, you know, people that have like, you don't even have any actual leaders. Like, no major leaders have ever been on the libertarian bottom of the spectrum, where it's like, yeah, legalize drugs, yeah, legalize sex, yeah, legalize.
They're not interested in centralizing power. They're not interested in centralizing.
That's what
control.
They're not doing.
Yeah, and so hence they don't.
They're giving power back to the people,
don't amass power.
Back to the individual.
And so hence they don't amass power and become a threat.
And that's the wedge. It's a secret wedge. That's where they put the wedge. They point it down. So that it separates people at that point.
I think those benevolent, those good business people, I think that they are, they're what keeps the economy and keeps business and keeps the world kind of running. There's a whole silent, system of people doing a whole bunch of shit that they don't have time to go and argue on Twitter, like that are.
Yeah, no, and that's the real criticism. That's. Look, man, there was a time when we were all getting along, and then I mentioned this on the last pod. It's not worth going over again, but Twitter really made things change the game. Twitter made it so that people that we didn't normally listen to, people that were like, "Oh, you're why? Whatever." You're seriously. It's like, I hear you, but whatever. You're like,
and now they got front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but they all banded together. And they're like, we're a voice together. And
that is exactly. No, I think you pretty much nailed that. Is that I think, that's what we're seeing.
They call it the marginalized. But seriously, there was a reason some of these people weren't taken seriously.
Yeah. One of the things I've been getting into was the incel community.
First of all, incel is a sexist insult because it only applies to men.
Which I think is interesting because I think they're absolutely...
And that's enforcing gender roles, and
there have to be incel women. There have to be women that are not getting laid and can't get laid and are upset about it.
No, because one of the incel men will fuck them.
Yeah, I've heard that argument.
Sorry.
I think numbers imply that there has to be. Okay, at least like a shooting star, it has to exist for a while.
If you can get her to take a shower.
Yeah. I've heard all these. Well, but here's the thing is that, like, I haven't dug in. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but so incels.co, I think it is.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, is like where the community has moved to. And so it's just a forum. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's an interesting bunch of folks. I'm thinking about doing a post in there, seeing if I can find a local incel that I can offer personal training to, and see if I can make a difference.
That sounds like a great video series. That sounds like a great docu-series.
I would love to just like take
fixing an incel.
Just take one kid and be like, okay, see this is dirt, roll in it.
But you can't be. But you can't be a. What is it? A PUA? What's PUA stand for? Pickup artist?
No.
Yeah, you can't be that guy.
I wouldn't. It would
No,
not
no,
be,
you're not like that at all.
No.
You're about fixing the person. Yeah, way different. Completely different show.
It would be all about.
Yeah, that's a way better idea.
It would be all about like
Fixing you first.
No, it would
Fuck
be
that.
all about like no. You have to like roll in the
It's
dirt.
not tricks.
No. It's not like no. We're gonna get you laid. It's about no. I'm gonna turn you into like
Somebody that a person would actually want.
Somebody that like she's gonna come at you. You're not gonna have to do shit. Like you're gonna like come on, motherfucker, let's go.
So look, you mentioned incels, and I have to bring this up.
Yeah.
There's a congressional candidate for Virginia who started some incel groups and admits he's a pedophile. And he's a 37-year-old accountant from Charlottesville, Virginia, and he's running for Congress as an independent candidate in Virginia. Yeah. He confirmed that he created the websites suiped.org and incelocalypse.today. Places for pedophiles and...
I don't think this run for office is going to go very well. It's not off to a good start.
On the phone, he was open about his pedophilia and seemingly unfazed about his long odds of attaining government office. When asked whether he's a pedophile or just writes about pedophilia, he said, "It's a mix of both. When people go over the top, there's a grain of truth to what they're saying." Jeez. He says his platform is quasi-neo-reactionary libertarian. Includes protecting gun ownership rights, establishing free trade, and protecting benevolent white supremacy, as well as legalizing incestuous marriage and child pornography.
So some crazy assholes running for office. That's what this comes down to. Welcome to America, because anybody can run. You can't win.
I gotta say, I 100% support this man's free speech to tell us how fucking crazy he is.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's why you should never silence someone.
Yeah, he should be able to tell us exactly how fucking crazy he is, so we can go, wow, let's keep this guy as far away from office as possible.
Right, keep running though, because you have to register your address every time. every time you register to become in office, you have to tell them where you live. So keep doing that. Jeez. That's my point with this, is like, you don't want people to be quiet and silenced and muted and gone. You want the data to be out there where, like, you want the people, the racists and the, like, race separator, you like the people that have those ideas, you're like, I want you to have like a blog and be posting about that and talking about it and like, okay, where do you live? What are you doing? Like, are you gay? And what are you up to? Like, we want to know that as this community. Yeah. Like, we don't want to like.
Yeah. Don't criminalize talking about it.
Right. Because otherwise, then how will we know where they are and who's doing it? Like, we want them to stop doing it. Right. Yeah. We're not into this. Like, you need to know where it's going on. Why would you? And that's the thing, is that
that's like, so what happened today,
and it gets like
Shoe on Head got a video banned from YouTube today for hate speech. Now she labels herself as bisexual. She has always been a defender of the LGBT community, but she recently made a video about Arthur. Familiar with like Arthur the Aardvark? He's like a kid's book character.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, there's a book about a gay wedding or something. So a bunch of conservatives and homophobes were talking shit about it and saying it was terrible for kids or whatever. And so she made a response video, which I haven't been able to see because when I went to go watch it within 8 hours of upload, and it had been banned. Obviously, it had been banned like 3 or 4 hours within upload. And but the thing is like, all she did was, I'm sure, probably quote what somebody else had said about it and then responded to it. And this is exactly what I'm talking about the chilling effect of censorship. And it's, and it's like, I understand censorship is
kind of a
mostly
theme with
response to
us.
government.
It's kind of a theme with us.
But the thing
Kind of a
is
theme
like,
with
all
us
she
here on
was,
Silence, this podcast.
all she was doing was reporting what somebody else had said. And her video got shut down for hate speech.
Yeah.
She was responding to it and saying, look how bad this is. Look how stupid this is. This is why this is stupid.
Yeah,
giving a full, retort
and then, like,
to
you're
it.
giving a platform to the
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
but because the one thing was mentioned,
yeah, they're like,
banned.
all of a sudden,
Video banned.
all of a sudden, you're giving a platform.
She appealed it, and they denied the appeal.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you're giving a platform to someone. Yeah, it's this.
She was probably reading comments right off of YouTube.
Yeah,
Like, the platform was already there.
but that's the thing, is that it's.
I don't know that for a fact, but...
No, but the thing is that, like, that's usually what ends up happening, is that somebody brings up somebody else and some of their ideas, and then starts talking about them, and then they're like, oh, you're giving a voice to.
No, I'm criticizing the idea.
I want to expose it because it's easy to criticize them. Once you get it out in the open, then we'll all see how insane and crazy and stupid this is. And, like, you have to do that. That's part of the point of fucking free speech. It's painful. It's upsetting. You can have people on saying crazy shit. I like Candace Owens.
Oh.
But when she talks about climate change, I want to slap her.
She was talking about, like, criminalizing burning the flag, and I was just like, fuck that.
Yeah, that kind of shit, and you're like, oh.
So many people that I respect get on that one. Like, you shouldn't burn the flag. It's like, no. I'm sorry. I understand if you feel a certain way about it, but that's free speech.
I feel the same way about it, but at the same time, like, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and.
If you want to make that statement,
go ahead and do it. Like,
you can judge a person who makes that statement all you want.
I'm gonna judge you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna judge you.
Yep, I think that's perfectly fair. I think, like, that's a good.
It's like, yeah, I mean, things come with consequences. It's like, yeah, and, like, I get that. Like, if if I say the N-word versus somebody else, it comes with consequences. That somebody else doesn't have to pay because they have different skin color.
Yeah,
and so they, I mean, even Asian guys can say it more than fucking white dudes can say it.
That's I've heard the N-word more by Hispanic people in the back of my Uber
and, like,
car
Asian
than
and,
anywhere else in the city.
But, like,
I hear Asian
the other thing
people
is that
use
it's just
all
a
the time.
word, but at the same time, it's a word that you'll get punished for saying. So don't say it. Oogity boogity boogity.
See, that's the Twitter thing.
Weird.
That wasn't a thing until
It's just
Twitter.
weird.
That was not a thing until Twitter. I knew people that just said it all the time. Nobody got mad.
No.
Everybody was just talking that way.
Well, the thing is,
it was just like if you were a white guy and you hung out and listened to hip hop and were into the hip hop culture, and you just talked that way.
Especially when it came with a soft the
A instead of R.
Yeah,
just like the
it meant
trans
brother.
and with an S instead of a Y.
It meant brother.
Yeah,
it meant brother.
That's how it was.
It literally, like, if you're gonna translate it, it meant brother.
I knew so many
and,
people.
like,
that's just how it was.
Yeah, and that was the thing, is, like, in the Marine Corps it was the same way, and we were so mixed race, and, like, everybody's all over the fucking, like, thing. Everybody would just,
and then all of a sudden Twitter and Facebook gave a voice to the people that were offended by it.
That was the fun thing about the Marine Corps, was that everybody would use every racial slur indiscriminately. It was a mixed, like, it did not matter the ethnicity.
Did they use them appropriately or just throw them around randomly? Even worse than that?
Way more randomly.
Really? It was just
yeah. Like, the more random
that makes it way better.
Oh yeah, like that makes it way better when you, like, slap a couple of them together to just, like, just smear on someone's face, to just be like, you're these ethnic slurs, like, blap, and you just smash a couple of them together in their face. And, like, that was the thing, is that, like, it meant nothing actually ethnic. It's just
a thing to say.
Well, it was also, you're insulting somebody, and it's this bullying idea, but in that context, it's this brotherhood thing that you kind of, everybody's poking everybody. Everybody's checking everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like, hey, can you take a poke? Hey, can you take a poke? Hey, can you take a poke? And, like, you got me. That's actually funny. Hey, you said something funny. The thing you said was fun. You got me. and like you're like, okay, I can take a poke. And like once you prove you can do that, you're not a target. But when you can't take the poke, they're like, "Hey, come on, you need to be able to take a poke."
I feel like a lot of the comedians that got really upset with me, I expected them to be able to take pokes because they're comedians, and I've hung out with them, and then all of a sudden they were like, "No, I can't take this, and I'm really upset by it, and I'm gonna be like really fucking vengeful now." I was just like, whoa, I thought we were just ribbing each other.
Yeah, I was giving you something to jam against.
Yeah, I thought we were just like...
I got into that with Chris Riggins last night on Twitter. It was funny as fuck.
I miss him.
Oh,
he blocked me on... No, he didn't block me. I can still see him on Facebook. We're just not friends. So I can actually like see his comments and shit. I just have to go look.
He had this thing about white people. White people need to give black people reparations, and and you can Venmo me at blah blah blah. And so I busted his balls about it.
I'll Venmo D's.
Yeah, but the exchange was so funny to me that I did Venmo him $50 because to me that was even funnier.
Oh, that's hilarious. Actually.
I was like, oh, I got $80 sitting around in my Venmo.
Like, how many N-words do I get for this?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what do I get for my money? Like, what do I get to say?
What's the exact exchange rate? I want to know how many N-words per dollar.
How many times can I call you my brother with the N-word for my $50? Like 2?
What
is
if
like
$25? Yeah. Is it different if I use the R or the A?
Yeah, right.
What are the?
Yeah, and it's like, dude, my point is like, Chris, I think you're fucking funny. I think Chris is fucking funny as hell. I think the biggest thing that is holding Chris back in his comedy career is blaming fucking white people for everything instead of just fucking kicking ass and being Chris.
Yep.
Go kick ass and be Chris.
Yeah. Nobody's holding you back, man.
Nobody's holding back, man. You want $50? Here you go. Like on your team. Love you, brother.
What are we for time? I need another beer.
We need to do a break.
Okay.
You want to take us to break? You do that. I'll get ready to shut down.
Follow Acid Smooth on all social media networks. Follow J.A. Graham on Minds. Follow Silence This on Minds. Gab.
Wow.
Comment, like, whatever, all that shit.
We did an hour 25.
Oh, wow.
Solid. Welcome back.
We're back.
To part 2 of Silence This Podcast. This enthralling.
So I know I talk shit about AOC a lot, and I just wanted to bring up, in fairness, that she wanted to amend the budget bill that basically sets the budget for spending and stuff. There's been a rider on the bill since 96 that says that no federal money can be used to research Schedule I drugs. So, like, no money can be used to research marijuana or MDMA or psilocybin mushrooms or peyote or any of those drugs, basically, for medical reasons. So she wanted to amend the bill just to allow people to be able to study these drugs.
Yeah,
that have shown a lot of potential specifically for PTSD and end-of-life therapy.
Psychological hurdles.
Yeah,
I think
getting over psychological hurdles. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I deliberately used ayahuasca for that purpose.
Really?
Yeah. That was shortly after I published an essay to the internet that did not go over so well. And I was being accused of mental illness, which was driving me mentally insane. Literally, I just wasn't sleeping. It was all. I was pulling my own hair out. I was trapped in my own thing. That's part of the reason why, like,
not sleeping will really fuck you up.
Well, it's part of the reason why, like, people like that guy who's schizophrenic are interesting to me, because I'm like, I've been close to that edge.
Okay.
Like I didn't go over. I mean, I kind of peered over the edge of it, but like, I just didn't sleep for a whole bunch of time, and and so over it was my family stuff,
right?
That I was, upset over, And so it was like, okay, I have to get over this. I cannot force my family to change. They're not going to be different people. So like I have to change, but I also have to like understand the problem better, because I'm feeling it too much and not understanding it. Like I'm just hurting.
You needed a different perspective.
I needed a different perspective. I needed to see a different path. I needed to get far enough away from the problem that I could see a different path.
That's actually the best use of a psychedelic experience, is to get an alternate view of something that you're having a difficulty with.
Right. Well,
a new understanding of a.
It's basically like
obstacle.
Thinking about the obstacle is so upsetting that you cannot see your way through the obstacle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so you're thinking your way into a corner and it's not working.
And then basically a psychedelic forces you.
Well, then you experience the psychedelic, and then what comes up but, of course, the biggest problem you're facing. And so then you also have to look at it from a whole bunch of other perspectives. And then now when you come at it, you're like, well, I don't have to solve it that way. That's not necessarily the only solution. There's other solutions, throwing up finger quotes for the audio listeners. That that are still solutions, that still solve the problem, but they don't get the outcome you want, but they
Interesting.
You can't change your family, but you can find a way to function and find a way to comprehend the world that's not so upsetting that you put yourself in the hospital.
Well, and that, to me, that's what's upsetting about the 149 House of Representatives people that voted to not let that on the bill.
Yeah.
It's upsetting to me that many people said, no, we're not going to allow research into this.
Well, there's
absolutely insane.
Yeah, there's money concerns. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's why I liked Trump. I got to be honest with you. It's because he has shown that he is resistant to the pharmaceutical lobbies, which those people obviously were not.
And that's the thing, is that like I think instead of taking Effexor and whatever that was the one that I was on when I was a teenager for a little bit, that I was just like, it just turns you off. It's the worst. Like
I took Zoloft. It made it so you couldn't come. It sucks.
It's the worst.
You could get a boner. It just
never went to the end.
That was even less fun.
I don't know if Effexor did any of that stuff. I tried Ambien briefly.
Yeah. I liked Ambien too much. Way too much.
Well, it gets the job done, but it also
It's trippy.
Yeah, it's trippy. You can wake up and do shit. It's not. No.
Well, the first time I took Ambien, somebody gave it to me, and they were like, hey, dude, I got prescribed this. You should take it and stay awake. It's fun. And I was like, all right. And I was like, whoa, this is some trippy-ass shit. So, my first time doing it was, to trip out. So ever since then, I was like, Ambien's fun.
I was prescribed to go to bed because I was having trouble sleeping because of anxiety and depression.
My problem is I should take it to go to sleep, but I know how fun it is to watch movies on it. So what are my options?
Your brain is broken, bro. You've broken your brain. I'm convinced. I spent enough time in deserts eating fucking rice and beans and fucking subsisting on meager stuff and consuming no such substances that I've managed to avoid such corruption. And subsisting on military rations. My military rations and all the preservatives in my body are not making my brain break. Just my liver.
Hey, we all got to go some way.
But that's the thing, is I have my appreciation for the hallucinogenic experiences. It's just that, I
never learned anything from Ambien.
Well, I learned a lot from those grounded experiences, and I like this.
True.
People talk about getting grounded in such a we can get spiritual and artsy and bullshitty about it, but like, you know, that's part of like why, you know, I was talking to you before on the break about like walking in the woods and like, you know, finding your way to like connect with your body. Like when I'm really upset, I go find something physical to do, and like I'll go to the gym, and like, you know, if whether it's lifting weights or going to the sauna or going for a hike with the dog or going to the park, or like I'll find something that is a physical task that I have to go accomplish, give myself that, and then go do it. And usually after kind of physically beating myself up, I feel a whole lot better.
I get that.
Yeah.
I play games. That's what I do. I play PvP games. You know what I mean? Like put myself against another person.
Thing. It's kind of the same thing.
That's what I do.
Do you get it? It's kind of the same thing where you're like kind of giving yourself a task or a mission.
Yeah. I get how
like,
it's very much the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just for me, it's like, it's less physical and more about accomplishing, a completely different alternative task. It's like way outside this realm. It's like, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to capture this flag.
That's sort of arbitrary and difficult in its own right. And it comes with its own...
It's got its own stress.
And pain and punishment. And like all those elements are there. And like,
But it's a position I put myself in voluntarily.
Yeah.
That's a big...
And for me, the fact that it's actual real and physical is
well, that's essential. Fun. That's sport. Basically, what you're talking about is sport.
It's essential. Like, it helps me sleep at night. It freaking...
I get that.
It like...
I loved playing hockey. I should get back into hockey.
It helps me. It helps me operate in the world and feel like I'm, you know, I can at least bench press my body weight. I'm not a total slouch. I can do a couple pull-ups. I'm all right.
Oh, speaking of pull-ups, did you see the guy in Hong Kong who was doing the skywalking stuff? And he was like, he did two pull-ups, and he's up at the top of a very tall building, no harness, nothing. He lowers himself down like to show off on video.
This is an old one. I've seen this. Yeah, he does two pull-ups and then he can't get the third one, and then he slips and he falls. He dies.
Yeah. That's like I was like I had just seen it. Like I didn't.
That's an old one.
But I couldn't believe that's
like
what failed. That's how he failed. Mm-hmm. Like he did one pull up too many. He went for the next one and he just couldn't make it. He had nowhere to put his feet and he fell to his death because he couldn't do that one more pull up.
Yep. He was not as strong as he thought he was.
That's a lesson for life, man.
Right there. Don't overestimate your shit.
Yeah, if you're feeling tired and your life is on the line, fucking pull out now.
This is why I like skydiving, because like, dude, show up on your A game, jump on your A game. If you're not, don't
do it.
Like it's fucking skydiving. You're jumping out of a goddamn airplane at 13,000 feet. But when you do it, when you execute at that level, like if that guy had pulled that off and had thought he was going to die and had pulled that off, like he probably was going to tell that story to everybody for the next fucking 20, 30 years. And they'd see the video and he'd be like, no, you don't understand. I couldn't do that last pull up. And then I did, even though I couldn't. Yeah. And like he pulled himself over and he survived. If he'd have done it, like to him, it would have been a hell of a fucking story.
True.
And that was why he was doing it.
Wow.
That was what he was after. Is actually pulling it off.
Yeah.
But he went too fucking far. It's the Icarus classic fucking story. Yeah. With our little sun thing going on here, the Icarus analogy. See how I brought that around? Hey. What else are we going to talk about?
Let's see. Crowder demonetization.
I get in a lot of trouble on Twitter. Let's talk about social media.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing is like Crowder is that. Yeah. And like the YouTube stuff. Like we are putting this on YouTube. We want to be part of the YouTube community.
Yeah. Like
thank you to anybody who's watching this on YouTube instead of just listening to it. I appreciate the podcast listeners as well, but we are also putting it out on fine high definition.
As Crowder makes clear every week when I listen to his audio version, it's like he gets way more views on the video version, but he's like, hey, thank you for listening to the audio.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
Wonder who that is. Who's at the door? We got a song. It's Who's at the Door. Tyler likes to spill on the floor. Who's at the door? Who's at the door? I shouldn't sing. I should really not ever sing on this song, on this show. Who's at the door? I'm still singing. It's probably Brady with his balls a swinging. I shouldn't sing on the show. I should be banned from singing.
No, that's why you should keep singing.
We're gonna talk about what happens on Twitter. We like to Twitter while we sit on the shitter. Oh, that was terrible. I'm sorry. Oh, nothing at all.
The neighbor with her baby.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good deed we just did. We just did a good deed letting our neighbor with their 1-year-old into the building to interrupt the podcast. Thank you for tolerating our good deed of the day. Well done. Well done, sir. Well done. Left-handed shake. Weird righty-handed shake.
Well, one of the interesting things I came across on Twitter was when people start talking about banning hate speech and banning who should be banned and what allows them to be banned. All you have to do is steer that conversation towards Islam, and they start freaking the fuck out.
Well, the other thing is that, like, defining hate speech is a very vague thing. I did appreciate Crowder's video at
that was Google fucking amazing. Shout out to Steven Crowder.
Yeah, that was
for right in front of Google in Austin.
That was a great. I mean, especially you sit people down and you try to define it, and like the people with their vague terms and their vague speech and their vague.
Everybody came out agreeing with Crowder.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, and like it's like, well, I don't think that's it's not their job.
Yeah.
Like he's basically like yeah, these things, but not their job. Not where that falls. And I think the point of the public-private space is a very valid point.
Yeah.
And like some people try to dismiss that and throw it under the rug.
Well, for those who may not know, what the difference is between being a public platform or a private publication. Public platform versus private publication. So a private publication is edited and curated, and they take responsibility for everything that's published in it. Versus a platform where everybody's allowed to use it, like a telephone company or the mail or UPS.
Yeah.
So private would be like, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, like something.
Well, the
like
other
that.
thing is this notion of like public parks, because there are some public parks that are privately owned. So the land is privately owned, but the park is technically a publicly zoned space. And so it's built into our legal system to have this notion of public-private.
Huh.
That, like, I own this, but everybody's allowed to come here.
Okay, yeah.
That's Facebook. That's Twitter.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from.
That's how they want to portray themselves.
That's how they're positioning themselves. That's the notion of the company.
But as soon as they start saying these people are allowed and these people aren't,
this voice is allowed.
Yeah.
This word is allowed. This language is allowed. This idea is allowed. This thought is allowed. This person is allowed, and this person is not. As soon as you start making that differentiation, you're dealing with First Amendment issues.
Right.
Instantly. And whether you're a private company or not, you're subject to First Amendment.
Well, I mean,
that's the way that I feel.
Well, that's what Crowder's thing is he just wants them to declare, are you a platform or are you a publisher? Pick one.
Yeah. That's the thing is that's the legal corner he's backed them into, and he's correct.
Yeah.
And that's the same argument. But I think that essentially I'm coming at it from the angle of like it's about public discourse. This, you and I, now, what we're doing right now, this is public discourse. If you're listening to this is public discourse. We are participating in our First Amendment right of fucking public discourse. That's why this podcast is called Silence This, That's what we're talking about.
Well, shoe on head. Her thing specifically, when I clicked on it, it said it has been removed for hate speech. It said hate speech on YouTube.
Yeah.
And again, she was just reporting on the speech.
Well, that's the thing, is that it's these words that hurt people's feelings. And that's where I bring it back to personal responsibility and grow up and handle it. And like, if it hurt your feelings, why did it hurt your feelings? That's something to do with you. That's you. That's on you. That's your shit. If you can't, that's the thing, is like, there's so many people who cannot go toe to toe with Jordan Peterson, and so that's he's not booking interviews. He's not getting public time right now. And
because the interviewers that try to corner him fail every time.
You can't.
They think they're gonna get him with a gotcha,
and you can't. You're fucked. That guy knows what he's doing.
Because they haven't researched him and they don't know. If they have researched him and they do know, they won't talk to him.
He's also intellectual, like jiu-jitsu black belt, 3rd degree. Like he's gonna pummel you. You're gonna he's gonna take you to the ringer, and like your ideas and his ideas are both gonna go through the ringer, and he's done it to himself enough.
That's the thing, is he's examined his own ideas more than they have. And the people who criticize him haven't examined their own ideas.
I think that guy's great. I think that guy's fucking awesome. Everybody should be on the Jordan.
That's why I call it a religion, because they take it by faith. They haven't examined it and questioned it themselves.
Yeah, that's one of my major criticisms of like progressivism and feminism, the bad feminism that I'm criticizing. Is that it's a religion. You're worshiping something. You're exalting somebody over somebody else and doing it in this ideological way that is not actually logically structured in the way the world
it's a purity
works.
test. If you don't match their purity standard, then you're less than.
Yeah. If you believe our ideology, if you believe what we believe in, then you are one of the good ones, and you should rise to the top. Yeah. And if you do not believe what we believe in, then you should perish and be off in the fucking.
It's weird. They all of a sudden believe in hierarchies.
Yeah.
Huh? How'd that happen?
That was one of the things that like I was surprised didn't get more traction on Twitter, was with the whole thing about that like. If I've been reading Bell Hooks, I'm not quite done. I'm in the last couple chapters of.
That's a small book. What's taking you so long?
It's painful, and I have to find the time to do it. I'm reading more fun books right now that I enjoy reading.
That was what happened to me in high school.
I'm getting there.
People were like, "What, you didn't read?" I was like, "I just had books I wanted to read."
I'm getting there. The other thing is that like I'm underlining things and researching things, and like I'm taking it seriously. So for a small book, I'm not just like skimming through it and like taking.
That's weird.
I'm not just fucking blasting through it and then. Like, is this book dumb? Dude. I'm like fucking, like, I'm actually fucking taking my time with it. Anyway. One of their criticisms was domination is a bad thing. And so anything that's dominating, like, that's what we're opposing this domination.
You mean like trans women in sports?
So that's the thing, is that the point then becomes, okay, when feminism becomes dominant, like, shouldn't it be opposing itself at that point? Like, now you get into this logical loop. You
are the thing you hate.
You are the thing you hate. You are the loop.
That's the reason the hate exists, because like, you hate yourself.
It's like you are so successful at this that now you're the dominant force and you're bullying everybody else around, and you are the dominant thing, and you like that was the thing you set out to stop. It was that was literally in the literature. That's what she's outlining as like men are this dominant bullying thing. We need to set out to stop them with all our woman power. And like now the woman power is the dominant prevailing thing. And like
what's gonna stop that?
What's gonna stop that? Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's where we are right now. But
I guess I just exposed myself as like sort of an MRA.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're an equal rights activist.
Equal rights activist, men's rights advocate. Well, that's the thing. It's the equal rights advocate. Like,
yeah.
It's not.
There's no need to.
There's no need to specify men.
Yeah. Exactly.
But for me, I am specifically
you just recognize
right now
that
because of my film,
different
because I'm
people
working.
need different.
But also because my film is specifically about masculinity. RemovedFromReality.com. Because I think the film is focusing in on that, and the podcast is related to that, and everything we're doing with comedy, everything's related to that. I think that I'm focusing in on what makes a man, and focusing in on these MRA communities and incel communities, and listening to these voices and having these conversations. It's really interesting to me right now. So that's what I'm doing.
I want to go on a tangent. So did you read books in school? Did you read the books that were assigned to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all, but some. Yeah.
I never finished.
I read a lot of. I had a lot where they gave you a selection, so you could pick one. And then
okay. If you had your own choice, okay, that makes it a little better.
Once I had my own choice, then I would usually if I got to pick the book, I would.
My problem is I wasn't opposed to reading. I actually really enjoyed reading. It's just that early on, my father introduced me to books I actually enjoyed.
Have you ever been in a situation where a book is like
all that's available?
That's a negative way of putting it. When you're actually in that situation, it's like a fucking release. You're like, oh, thank God.
Oh yeah, no, I had what was it, Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading that book on a camping trip because I had nothing else.
Yeah,
and
it was good.
It was fucking amazing. Great book, way better than the movie.
Yeah,
actually scary.
I did that on both of my deployments. I read a lot of books because it was just like, hey, cool.
Yeah, I didn't say all you have as a negative. It's just like that's what's there. Like it's like I have this book, great, and it's a good book, awesome. Like you are very psyched to have it.
All this fucking boring ass time.
Yeah, great time to read.
Yep.
Yeah,
perfect time.
So I got nothing against that.
Right, we're gonna drink more beer. I think we should get out of here. I think we should call this.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you wanted to cover?
All I was saying is I never finished one single book that was assigned to me in school. Yeah. I always passed every class very easily.
Yeah, I got that. I didn't want you to.
I was just like, I just liked sci-fi so much more.
Oh yeah, no, but that was the things I was able to read.
Sci-fi.
I was able to read a lot of sci-fi for book reports and things like that. So I did like. Madeline Le Guin or Ursula Le Guin or what is it?
And I think I never got into comics
Madeline
either.
L'Engle. It's Madeline L'Engle and Ursula Le Guin. That's what I mixed.
I think I never got into comics because once I just started reading long form, like really good books first. And then once I got to comics, I was like, this short form, having to wait on the next one thing just isn't for me.
No.
But
I like Heinlein.
No, I mean like, when I get, All right.
All right, we got to get out of here.
All right.
Bye.